Hello, Fearless Gamers! Matt here for Fearless Games, and today I'm doing another entry in the book corner. And today's book is going to be Ravenwing by Gav Thrope. Now, this book is a story, again, by Gav Thrope about the dark.
This transmission has been commandeered by the Game Inquisition. I, Inquisitor Lord Stark, am here today to, instead of talk about whatever that other guy was going to talk about, instead talk about the historical document, as told by the Rememrancer Dan Abnett, Pariah, Ravenor versus Eisenhorn. Now, this is a continuation of his previous works, namely the Eisenhorn Trilogy, always a classic, definitely required reading for anyone interested in the 40k Inquisition, and its continuation, the Ravenor Trilogy. To read the Pariah, you need to, at first, be familiar with these previous books, so highly recommend reading Eisenhorn. Definitely one of the best pieces of literature on the 40k Inquisition that I can think of off the top of my head. That book introduces us to the character of Eisenhorn and his small party of ragtag acolytes as they try to basically save the universe. Or at least the Imperium of Man. That's all we really care about, right? The Inquisition cares about itself. So, in those books, we get to see basically the slope of someone going from being a true Puritan, using good to fight for the good of the Imperium, slowly sliding down the slope towards heresy, and how easy that transition can be, to starting to say the ends justify the means, and using some really crazy stuff to try to save the galaxy, or save the Imperium, even using the enemy as a tool for good, which is an interesting concept. Ravenor continues this aspect, but usually tries to show how you have to go outside the system to protect the system. Also, we get to see more of what his ragtag group of acolytes can do, since Ravenor himself cannot do as much as Eisenhorn can physically, for reasons that become very apparent as you read the books. The two characters have always been intertwined, since Ravenor is actually one of the students of Eisenhorn at one point. There's a short story or two talking about their interactions, which have always been interesting, but we haven't really gotten to see how they can interact for some time. And that's what this new trilogy, Pariah, will be trying to show us. So, in here, time's a little confusing. If you're really familiar with the ideas of the 40k universe and familiar with the Inquisition as Daniel Abnett has written it, you might be a little confused at first, and that's the point. You're really supposed to get in the head of this new character, the Pariah, Elizabeth Bequin, and see what her origins are, see how she goes through all this, and see as she picks what side to follow. What's interesting here is there's multiple sides to this. There's Chaos. Chaos is in here, of course, the enemy to the Imperium. They are constantly trying to cause harm and evil, but they do it in very fascinating ways in this book, and it's very enjoyable to go through it. And then there's the Inquisition, but the Inquisition has multiple facets, and really we get to focus on that with Eisenhorn himself and Ravenor, and the two of them finally coming to head with each other. Eisenhorn, let's not talk about too much who's on what side. He has his views, Ravenor has his views, and they're going to clash in this. And what we're going to see is which way our main character, our Pariah, chooses to go. And hopefully she chooses the right side. At the very least, she's going to choose a side that's going to be very interesting to follow. I actually think that she'll probably flip-flop a little bit, which would be great to see, because it's really great to see, again, these characters from Eisenhorn Ravenor Trilogy return again, seeing them as they grow. It's fantastic to see Eisenhorn doing stuff again. Reading his books was great. When he disappeared at the end of them, it was a little sad. I mean, he's my biggest influence when it comes to the Inquisition. And then seeing Ravenor doing his stuff again is also great to see. And seeing the two of them finally come together again is going to be truly fascinating. This trilogy looks like it's going to be a big fight between the two of them over how to save the Imperium, how to protect it, with one side trying to stay pure and to the ideas of the Inquisition, the other side going a little bit more on the ends justify the means, using things that are normally tools of the enemy, tools of chaos. And it's great to see how these characters interact with it. Again, just getting all the background information on our main character for this trilogy, Elizabeth Bequin, which is really all this book's about. This book is just setting her up. It does a great job of giving her past, how she grew up, her abilities, her thoughts on things, seeing which way she chooses to go. It's truly beautiful. Abnett, this way he describes action, has always been fantastic. If you have not read any of his books before, definitely try it at some point soon. Again, he writes action in fun and interesting ways. It's almost like watching a movie when you read his stuff. The way he describes chaos is fantastic. I enjoy the fact that, little spoiler, he brings Annuncia back in this again, which is kind of this proto-language of power in the 40k universe, which only really shows up in his books as far as I'm aware, and really should be played with a little bit more because it does a lot to flesh out the universe. Again, for any aspiring Inquisitor out there, reading these books definitely give you an idea of how easy it is to go either way. Gives you ideas of what they do and how they go about doing their jobs. And I highly recommend reading this. Definitely read it, but of course, the problem is since it is the first part of a third trilogy, you have to read the other stuff first. But it's easy enough at this point to find the Eisenhorn Trilogy, again, in Omnibus, as all 3 books all together. The Ravner Trilogy is also in one now. This is not it. I don't have a copy of that. I bought all 3 of them separately myself, because there wasn't an omnibus when I was reading them. They're fantastic reads, again, and definitely, if you're interested in the Inquisition and how it works in the 40k universe, they're beautiful reads, because they're probably the best examples of just seeing what it's like for people that aren't Space Marines, for seeing what normal people and not so normal people do, the true effects of heresy on the Imperium, the true weapons of chaos, and how truly sinister they can be, and how underhanded and how unexpected, how endearing or enticing they can be, until you realize how dark and dangerous those powers are. And again, it's enforced even more with Pariah, where it seems almost sometimes like these guys shouldn't be the bad guys, or maybe they should be. And there's some really fun surprises for anyone that's already really into this universe. I can't say that I cannot recommend it enough. It's definitely some of the best work of Dan Abnett's, some of the best work in the 40k universe that isn't just about blowing stuff up, though that does happen, and it's cool. So, again, I highly recommend this book. Definitely look into the Eisenhorn Trilogy and the Ravner Trilogy, which we'll have to talk about at some point, but definitely, without giving up too much about Pariah, it's a great read that really tries to show you the ups and downs, the back and forths of not just the Imperium and the Inquisition, but just life in general for someone in this universe, and really lets you see how confusing it can be to tell what side is the right side to be on. So, until next time, be vigilant.
So I would definitely recommend this book for anyone who is a... Wait a minute? What? Starklord!